One of the most exciting times in the MLB season is the MLB trade deadline. This year, it expired at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on July 31st. So now all of the rosters are good to go for the rest of the season until the roster expansion in September. And there were a lot of really big moves that happened, including Mason Miller to the Padres, Joan Duran to the Phillies. But of course, this is Raise the Trident. This is a Seattle Mariners channel, and the Mariners were pretty much one of the most active teams, if not the most active team at the deadline this year, which was really great to see. And we're going to go all over that today in this video. Entering the trade deadline, the Mariners had very obvious and pressing needs to supplement this roster for a playoff push. The very biggest were the corner infield spots, first base and third base. At first base, they've pretty much been using Donovan Solano and Luke Raley there. And through the 23rd of July, our first base position had ranked 19th in WRC plus among the league at 93, 20th in FWAR at 0.2, and 22nd in OPS at 0.60. So really needed to supplement that position. And then at third base, we do have Ben Williamson, who has been having an okay time at the major league level. I say okay time because his defense has been great. It has been advertised going into his call-up. There was a lot of discussion that Williamson's glove was one of the best in the system, and so far he's kind of proven that. However, his bat's been pretty poor. As of today, on the 31st, Williamson is posting a slash line of 253, 294, 310 for 76 WRC plus, and he's only been worth 0.4 FWAR. So as far as offensive production goes, both the corner infield spots were very obvious needs for the Mariners at the trade deadline, and the second biggest need was bullpen help. Although Andres Munoz, Gabe Spire, and Matt Brash have all been pitching really well in especially high leverage spots, they clearly needed at least one more high leverage guy and maybe some middle relief help. Their bullpen ranked 15th in ERA at 3.90, 21st in FIP, 25th in FWAR, and 20th in WHIP. And for a team who really relies on solid pitching and run prevention, having a bullpen that's ranking in the 20 to 25 range in some of the most important bullpen stats is pretty rough and needs to be helped. You could also argue that they needed some starting pitching help. They've been filling in that fifth rotation spot with Logan Evans and Emerson Hancock. Both have had some good starts, but both have had some really bad starts as well. And Bryce Miller, we don't know what he's going to be when he comes back. He's currently on the injured list right now. He's already said that he's going to need surgery. One, we don't know if we're getting him back, and two, we don't know how good he's going to be when he is back. And that issue has also been exacerbated by guys like Logan Gilbert and George Kirby having some hit or miss results thus far. And in typical Jerry fashion, the Mariners were the first team to really strike at the trade deadline this year, and on the 24th of July, they executed a trade with the Arizona Diamondbacks where they acquired first baseman Josh Naylor for prospects Brandon Garcia and Ashton Izzy. This was a really huge bump in morale and in offensive production for the Mariners, especially at that first base position. Josh Naylor is going to be an everyday guy for you. He is a rental lefty bat. He's going to be a free agent after the 2025 season, and in the contract terms, the Mariners are going to still owe him about $3.8 million for these final 2 months. But the biggest thing with Josh Naylor is he has been a consistently above league average bat the last 4 seasons. We needed a guy who could add some stability to the lineup, and Josh Naylor does just that. Now, Josh Naylor is a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde kind of hitter. Either he'll be very high in batting average and lower on power, or he'll be very high on power and lower in the batting average department. And this year, he is the former. He currently is boasting a 288 batting average with 12 home runs, but he still does have a 442 slugging percentage due to a pretty high amount of doubles, 19 in total so far on the year. And out of all qualified first basemen in the entire league, Josh Naylor ranks 12th in FWAR, 12th in WRC plus, 4th best in strikeout percentage, and 11th in OPS. So this is an immediate huge upgrade, and Jerry and Co managed to get this deal done about a week before the deadline, so we were able to already have some games with Josh Naylor in our lineup. He's had a few hits. He even had his first home run as a Mariner already, which was absolutely crushed. So really liking that already, and really excited to see what he can bring to the club for the rest of 2025. Outside of his stats, he's a really intense intense guy. And I think that's a really good guy to bring into this Mariners club who gives them a little bit of an edge. A lot of the time doesn't look very interested with what's going on, but it's more of just an intensity and a competitiveness. It's not like a Anthony Rendon thing where like, oh, he doesn't even want to be playing baseball right now. He just simply wants to win. So really like having that kind of guy in the clubhouse. Well, let's briefly go over what we gave up for Josh Naylor. So the first one was a prospect, Brandon Garcia. He was MLB Pipeline's number 13 prospect in the Mariners system prior to the move. He is currently ranked as 17th for the Diamondbacks per Pipeline. And Brandon Garcia is a really good pitching prospect. He transitioned from starting pitching to relief pitching throughout his time in the minors. So he's been strictly a reliever this year. He could transition back to starting pitching. I don't know. That's going to be up to the D-backs if that's what they want to do, but mainly Garcia is just a solid pitcher all the way around. He has really good velocity. He has some really good movement as well. He has a little bit of a problem with walks here and there. Right now in the minor league system this year, he was posting a 3.51 ERA in 33.1 innings pitched between both AA Arkansas and AAA Tacoma. He did have a small cup of coffee with the Mariners in the MLB level, but it did not go very well. He was giving up a lot of hits and gave up 3 walks as well. And I think he had a couple innings already with the D-backs that didn't go very well either. But the biggest thing with Brandon Garcia is there's the upside there. The season's almost over. The Arizona Diamondbacks aren't in it. Obviously, they are selling right now. So they have some time, especially over the offseason and going into spring, to really work with Brandon, see if they can figure out what they want him to be. And, you know, he could become a really effective either reliever or who knows, maybe like a number 5 starting pitcher for them. So really excited to see what he is able to do. Lots of upside with Brandon Garcia. Then moving on to Ashton Izzy, who was a pitching prospect in the Mariners system. He is ranked 16th in the Mariners system per Pipeline. He is now ranked 12th for the Diamondbacks, so actually ahead of Brandon Garcia a little bit. He is only a 21-year-old starting pitcher, and he was pitching for High A Everett with the Aqua Sox, so he is going to be making the jump in the same league to the Hillsboro Hops, which is the High A affiliate of the Diamondbacks. He had a great year in 2024 with the Modesto Nuts, posting a little bit above a 2 ERA with them all year, but this year moving to High A, it has not been as good. He is boasting a 5.51 ERA in High A Everett prior to the trade. But there is the makings of a potential starting pitcher later on in his career for Ashton Izzy. He is obviously a bit of a ways off, only being 21 and in High A, so he is more of a project for the Diamondbacks, but there is some potential upside there. So overall, you know, I don't think it's necessarily a bad trade by any means. The Mariners get one of the best and probably the best first baseman on the trade market, a really solid and consistent bat that can give them some really good pop, but can also give them some average too, and doesn't strike out a whole lot. He struck out quite a bit since becoming a Mariner, but you know, we'll see if that stabilizes a bit. It probably will. So really stoked for that, and Arizona gets some 2 pretty decent pitching prospects in return. The second trade the Mariners have made occurred the day before the deadline on the 30th. This one was with the Pittsburgh Pirates, where we sent pitching prospect Jeter Martinez to the Pirates in exchange for reliever Caleb Ferguson. As I said earlier, the Mariners needed bullpen help, both a middle reliever and a high leverage guy. Caleb Ferguson is that middle relief help, and he is a second lefty to add with Gabe Spire to the bullpen, which is nice to have. Caleb Ferguson is a 29-year-old relief pitcher from Ohio. This is his 7th season in the major leagues. He had 5 seasons with the Dodgers and then was with Pittsburgh for last year, and then of course up until yesterday with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's had a very solid career in general, and this year he is posting a pretty good year with the Pirates. 43.1 innings pitched, 3.74 ERA, a 3.14 FIP, 1.08 WHIP, and 7.06 Ks per 9. Now you may be thinking, the Ks per 9, that's really low for a reliever. We do need someone that can miss bats and can get some whiffs, and Caleb Ferguson isn't that guy. However, he excels in missing barrels and getting soft contact. He is the best in the league at getting soft contact and has a very high ground ball rate as well. He has a true 4-pitch mix. He has 4-seam is his most used pitch at 35.5%, but his other 3 pitches are just over 20%, so it's a pretty fair mix for the most part. He also sports, along with the four seam, a cutter, sinker, and slurve. Right now, it's looking like his slurve is probably his best pitch. Opponents are only hitting 152 for an average off of that and only slugging 182. And he does have a whiff rate of 29% on that. Caleb Ferguson is another rental. So he is going to be a free agent after this year. We're not going to have him for 2026 unless we re-sign him. But he's only owed a little bit under $1 million. So pretty cheap for the most part. And a really nice piece to add to this bullpen to give us that second lefty. And for the return to the Pittsburgh Pirates, we did send pitching prospect Jeter Martinez. He was ranked as the 21st prospect in the Mariners top 30 per pipeline, and going over to Pittsburgh, he is still ranked 21st in their system as well. But he's a 19-year-old in low A Modesto. He has really flashy stuff, including a very high velo fastball. However, his time in Modesto this year has not gone well at all. He's boasting a 6.18 ERA in low A, a 1.61 whip, and his walks have been a big problem, 5.46 walks per 9. So really, Jeter Martinez is more of a lottery ticket for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm fine with giving him up to get us some bullpen help that we desperately need right now, especially that second lefty. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how Caleb Ferguson does for the Mariners this year. Trade number 3 broke really late evening on the 30th of July. I was about 5 minutes from going to bed, and I was frankly a little inebriated, but we have acquired Heno Suarez from the Arizona Diamondbacks. So that broke last night, and in return, we did send to the Diamondbacks Tyler Locklear, Hunter Cranton, and Juan Burgos, all Mariners prospects. Huge deal. Heno Suarez was the best bat that was on the market, unless some surprise person gets traded later today that hasn't been traded yet as I'm recording this. I'm ecstatic for this. Heno Suarez, before leaving the Diamondbacks, was the National League home run leader. He already has hit 36 home runs this year, and out of qualified third baseman, he is second in WRC plus, fourth in FWAR, first in RBIs, and first in OPS. So we are getting the best bat that was on the market, and we're slotting him into third base. Now, his glove is not like it used to be. We do remember Gino being a Gold Glove caliber third baseman and making some insane plays, but he is 34 now. So his glove has declined a bit, and it's certainly not going to be nearly as good as Ben Williamson's glove. So there is a little bit to be said for that. However, you're going from a 76 WRC plus bat at third base to a 143 WRC plus bat. A huge difference. Now, I will say that there are a couple red flags with Gino, and I don't boo me, but he is just simply a slugger this year. His batting average is not super high. The strikeout issues are still there. However, he is giving you the power to make up for those strikeouts. The problem with when we traded him away to Arizona was that he was striking out a bunch, but he wasn't hitting the bombs that he needed to make up for it. He only hit about 20 or so before we sent him off. And now he's at 36. So that is much more reasonable for the strikeout issues that he has. The biggest thing for Gino is when he hits the ball, he's hitting it hard and he's hitting it far, which is really nice. Obviously, there's a little bit to be said of, will he be fine at T-Mobile Park with it, which is a run suppression environment, compared to Arizona, which is still a bit of a pitcher's park. However, it's warm down there and a little bit drier, I think, in humidity. So I don't know if that helps at all. So will the environment kind of suppress his power a little bit? Maybe. But there have been some legit mechanical changes that he has made. He's a bit more closed off to the plate, which has helped him. I'm not a mechanics expert, so I'm sorry if I can't describe to you what those things are. However, it's been pretty obvious that since he's made those changes after we traded him last year, for the last calendar year, he's been great. And he has been a really good hitter, one of the better hitters in the league in general. So he's made some legit changes. I hope that helps. He is a rental as well. So these are 3 rentals already that the Mariners have acquired. I'm fine with, because here's the thing, is you needed to make this club better. And the American League is so weak right now. You had to just put your chips in my opinion. I think this was the time. The Mariners are going to be on the hook for about $4.7 million per Spotrac for the rest of the season. And maybe they re-sign him. We don't know what's going to happen with that, but I don't really care. All I care about is Gino being back. Good Vibes Only is back in Seattle. That's an awesome trade because not only are you getting the best bat available, you're also getting one of the best personalities available. You're getting a guy who knows Seattle. You're getting a guy who knows all the guys on Seattle. You have a guy who's coming back to a Mariners fandom that loved him. We gave up not nearly as much as I thought. The rumor going into the trade deadline was that the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to want 2 top 100 prospects for Heno Suarez. We did not give that up. The first person we gave up was Tyler Locklear, raised a Trident alum. I'm hoping he does well in Arizona, of course. All the luck to him. He was ranked as the number 9 prospect in the Mariners system per Pipeline. He's now ranked 6 for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was been solid in the minors, not great in some of his little cups of coffee at the major league level, but he had a monster month, especially last 2 weeks. He was just recently named the PCL Player of the Week with 5 homers and 1.745 OPS in that week span. He, remember he went like 9 for 9 with 4 or 5 home runs. So he's been on a tear, and he's made some legit adjustments as well with keeping his hands lower, which has seemed to help unlock a bit more power and just general some more bat speed. So Arizona might be getting a really good piece in return, and I'm really hoping that he plays well for them. I really do, but he's just simply not a for sure thing in the majors. So I'm fine with them giving him up, especially now that we got Naylor for the rest of the playoff push. We don't need Locklear. We weren't going to have a really spot for him either because Naylor is an everyday guy. The second piece we gave up was Hunter Cranton, a 24-year-old righty reliever. He was ranked as the 16th best prospect in the Mariners system. He is currently ranked the 20th best in the D-back system. He's been having a really solid year at AA. However, he was injured for the first part of the year, so he hasn't pitched much, only 10 AA innings, but he did pitch to a 0.90 ERA and 0.80 whip. So he is really solid. He has a big chance to be a legit bullpen arm in the MLB in the future, and now for the Arizona Diamondbacks, for a team who really needed the bullpen help. Their bullpen is one of the worst in the leagues, not only due to the injuries, but just to the production in general. And he could probably make his debut this year, frankly. So it'll be really exciting to see what they're able to do with Hunter Cranton, maybe this year, but most likely next year. And then the last piece was Juan Burgos, who was our 17th ranked prospect per Pipeline. He's now 22nd in the Arizona system. He was playing for the Mariners this year. He had 6.2 innings pitched for the Mariners and a little cup of coffee up here, posted a 4.05 ERA and 1.35 whip. So really not that bad. I mean, it's fine, serviceable. He was in Tacoma when this trade occurred, so he's probably going to be going to Reno, maybe to the MLB level, who knows. Burgos is a fine, solid piece. He's a guy who you can slot into the bullpen and you will find some success. The Arizona Diamondbacks needed arms because their arms are kind of like the Dodgers. They are just getting broken left and right. So they needed a guy who could probably slot in for the rest of the year in that bullpen and give them some innings. Burgos can do that. In full disclosure, I recorded all of these prior clips before the trade deadline actually passed to try to get ahead of it, start my editing process. Trade deadline's officially passed now, so now we know that the Mariners have only made these 3 trades. They did not make any in the last 2.5, 3 hours since I initially recorded. So at this point, it is simply Heno Suarez, Josh Naylor, and Caleb Ferguson. They did not give up any top 100 prospects at all. The biggest prospect they gave up was Tyler Locklear, and I mean, maybe you could say Brandon Garcia too, but really Tyler Locklear, and I think that's awesome. Now, what would I give a grade to Jerry Dipoto and Justin Hollander for this trade deadline? I'm going to give it a B+. I have to give Jerry and Justin credit that they got the 2 biggest bats that ended up being traded this deadline in Josh Naylor and Heno Suarez. There was rumors that Steven Kwan might be dealt to the Dodgers or dealt in general, and in that case, he probably usurps Josh Naylor for that. However, he didn't get traded, so therefore Naylor and Suarez are the 2 biggest bats and most important bats that got dealt this deadline, and the fact that the Mariners got both of them and they are both at areas of need that they had, awesome. They did great on the offensive front. They did just about all that I could ask for on the offensive front. I maybe would have liked a better bench bat or a better utility guy in place of like Dylan Moore maybe, but they didn't do that, and that's okay. I don't really care too much about that. The part where it becomes a B plus, even though they got the 2 best bats, is I feel they woefully did not supplement the bullpen and rotation the way they needed to. The bullpen has been a problem, and although Caleb Ferguson is great, lots of ground balls, lots of soft contact, so I do think he's going to be effective for us. This bullpen really needed a high leverage guy to go along with Matt Brash, Andres Munoz, Gabe Spire. And the main reason I say that too is because although Matt Brash and Andres Munoz have been great, we have all seen those outings where they can be a bit shaky. And I really wish they would have gotten a guy like Griffin Jack. Now, granted, the price for Griffin Jacks and some of the other closers that went was pretty high, and probably a bit higher than, you know, maybe I would have been comfortable with giving up. So there is a little bit of that to it, but still, regardless, I do think this bullpen needed more than just one lefty middle relief guy to supplement this bullpen, because you still have guys like Trent Thornton, although he's been good since his appendix got taken out. I'm not sure what that's about. And Carlos Vargas and guys like that who are still on the bullpen or in the bullpen, where when it comes to October, I'm not going to feel very good with them going into playoff games. And I would really love it if I had a bullpen where I at least had multiple people that I had trust in, more than just Brash and Munoz and Spire, and I guess now Bizzardo. And then with the starting pitching, I really felt like if they could find a way to get a more solid and more consistent number 5, that would have been really nice. Someone like a Charlie Morton in a way. I'm not saying it would have had to have been him. It's just, for me, I am very uncomfortable with having Logan Evans and Emerson Hancock have a start every 5th day, especially in a tight division race against the Houston Astros and kind of the Texas Rangers and the wild card as well. I mean, although the AL is very weak, it is also very tight. And it is tough because today, both the Rangers and the Astros did make a pretty good flurry of moves that improved them and made them better. So it is hard for me to feel great about our pitching going forward. Now, I do want to point this out, and Trident Gonzalez from Locked On Mariners tweeted about this earlier, and he is absolutely right. That when it comes to the pitching, the most important part was not who we got on the trade deadline. The most important part is having guys like Logan Gilbert, George Kirby to pitch the way we know they can pitch. We need them to be our solid starters, because if we can get Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, and Brian Wu, and Luis Castillo all firing on good cylinders, that makes that 5th day start where you have Logan Evans and Emerson Hancock, where, not saying they're bad, it's just you never know what you're going to get. You don't know if you might get a quality start from them, but most likely not. It would make it a lot more irrelevant. At the end of the day, I give the deadline a B+. That's a very positive grade, and I'm really stoked to watch tonight's game with Gino in the lineup, Naylor, maybe we see Caleb Ferguson, who knows. Really stoked to see what those guys are going to contribute to the Mariners for this playoff push. Still some underwhelming parts of it, especially today on trade deadline day when it came to the bullpen and starting pitching. I would love to know what you think down below. Please comment down below. What grade would you give the Mariners deadline this year? But if you're new here, please subscribe. It helps me out a lot. It's free as well. I try to do the best Mariners content I can for y'all, but that's gonna be it for me in this one, and I will see you in the next.